Let's now take you to Washington and get a reaction from our correspondent in Washington, Jagruti Dave. Jagruti, a very good afternoon to you. We understand, of course, now that the ship is currently between Iceland and the British Isles. Russia has sent support for the vessel, including a submarine, as we've been hearing. What is the official word from the U.S. government at this stage?
This is a fast-moving story, and within the last half an hour or so, we have not one but two ships that have been captured by the United States. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem wrote on X, in two pre-dawn operations, the Coast Guard conducted back-to-back, meticulously coordinated boarding of two, quote, ghost fleet tanker ships, one in the North Atlantic Sea and one in international waters near the Caribbean. Both vessels, the motor tanker Bella 1 and the motor tanker Sophia, were either last docked in Venezuela or en route to it. She goes on to talk about the Bella, now known as the Marinera, that the Bella had been trying to evade the Coast Guard for weeks, even changing its flag, painting a new name on the hull while being pursued in a desperate and failed attempt to escape justice. We understand that the ship changed course and the Russians have claimed it and tried to protect it by sending a submarine, but to no avail. Kristi Noem writes, the world's criminals are on notice. You can run, but you can't hide. We have more information about the Bella. There was a photograph of the ship from the vantage point of a U.S. vessel, it seems, that was posted by U.S. Europe Command. And this seizure supports Donald Trump's proclamation targeting sanctioned vessels that threaten the security and stability of the Western Hemisphere, says U.S. Europe Command. We have more information on the Sophia as well, the second tanker that has been seized in the Caribbean. U.S. Southern Command said the interdicted vessel Sophia was operating in international waters and conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. The U.S. Coast Guard is escorting the Sophia to the U.S. for final disposition.
I want to stay on Bella 1, if I can. And now, of course, there are concerns about what this particular interception means between relations between America and the U.S. Of course, there are fears that this could further complicate relations between Moscow and Washington at a time when President Donald Trump has shown frustration, particularly over President Putin, when it comes to the war in Russia and Ukraine. What are you hearing in as far as the reaction on the ground in as far as this is concerned?
Well, I think since the capture of Nicolas Maduro, we've been hearing concerns from around the world and in Latin America in particular about spillover effects of what happened in Venezuela. Colombia, for example, talking about refugees at its borders. But here you're seeing the wider geopolitical spillovers in effect. And you have a statement from the Russian Ministry of Transport on the seizure of the tanker in the Atlantic. And it said that the U.S. Navy forces boarded the vessel in the high seas outside the territorial waters of any state. Contact with the vessel was lost by the Russians. And the permission to sail under the Russian Federation flag, it says, was issued on the basis of Russian law and international law. And in accordance with the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, freedom of navigation applies in high seas waters, and no state has the right to use force against vessels duly registered in the jurisdictions of other states. Now, laying aside questions of how this ship was flagged and the Russians claiming of this vessel, Sophia, now known as Marinera, there are lots of questions being asked about sovereignty here. Venezuela's sovereignty, the United States has been accused of infringing. And here you've got the Russians talking about the infringement of states, of vessels registered to other states. And with other developments related to oil, you have the United States saying that up to 50 billion gallons of oil is being diverted given to the United States, diverted from China. And so you have China here accusing the United States of bullying and acting against international law as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about wider spillover effects. You talk about sovereignty. I know one of the things that you are also monitoring is closer to home, which is what is happening in Greenland. European powers also rallying behind Greenland, in fact, following these renewed threats from U.S. President Donald Trump. What can you tell us about that situation in terms of what these European powers are saying?
Yes, so the many European countries, including Britain and France, issued a joint statement, essentially saying that the fate of Greenland was up to Denmark and Greenland to decide. But the United States continuing to double down on its desire for Greenland. Donald Trump saying it's for national security reasons. An aide, Stephen Miller, saying yesterday that no one is going to stop the United States effectively taking Greenland. So no one's going to fight the United States over Greenland. Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, has tried to maybe play down the military side of this, saying that no, Donald Trump is interested in buying Greenland, something that he has expressed an interest in before and has been rebuffed by Greenland and Denmark, who've said Greenland is not for sale. Nonetheless, this is an issue about resources, Greenland's location between the Arctic and the Antarctic becoming more accessible as icebergs melt. But you also have Greenland's resources, which are very useful for the tech race that the United States is engaged in with China.
All right, Jagruti, let's leave it there for now. Know that you are monitoring particularly what's happening in the oceans, I can say, particularly in North Atlantic, and as far as that vessel that has been captured by U.S. Marines, and that is our U.S. correspondent in Washington, Jagruti Dave, as we continue to monitor the breaking news